Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Real Riffs with Donya Ball and Sean Gaillard. It seems like it was like 5 minutes ago when we were doing our second riff. This is the third riff. Is that about right, Donya? The third?
This is number three, and
Yes.
FYI, everything gets better with the third. We just know this.
Yes.
One is like warm up, two is an appetizer, three is like the main meal.
There it is. There it is. And like we know we've got the key that we're playing in, we've got
The
the riff,
jam. Mm-hmm.
and we've got some really intense discussion, I think, on the horizon, where we're going to dive into based upon the riffs that are in front of us. Where we're going to have some real conversations about real leadership, real life. There are no scripts. There's no gurus. There's no
Nope.
easy answers. This is just two people trying to make sense of leadership, humanity, and the work and the gig. So I've
That's
been
it.
looking forward to this all day, friend.
And Sean, what is exciting to me, and this held true with the previous episodes, and of course today and all future,
Hmm.
is that the content that we're going to be riffing
There you go.
on is coming from the listeners. So
Yes.
we have, two listener requests. These are not coming from Sean and I. We
Right.
have plenty of stuff that we think matters. But at the end of the day, this has to be valuable to you all. And so we selected, handpicked two of your requests that we are going to get to very quickly. And FYI, they're very juicy. Today's requests are juicy. They're not easy to talk about.
No.
We may not have all the answers, but it will absolutely resonate no matter your leadership role. Before we dive into the leadership requests, as we do with all of our episodes, we want to kick things off with some really critical, awesome dedications.
Yes.
I'm going to dedicate this episode to a beautiful friend. His name is Harold Rollin. And let me tell you, Harold, when I was a superintendent of schools, was my board president.
Nice.
And you all are going to be able to connect the dots very soon when we get to our very first listener request as to why I have strategically selected Harold. Not only were we, I'll just say this, badass leaders, partners together, but through that process became friends,
Mm.
brother, sister, just Sean, kind of like how you and I, right?
That's right.
We just jam. And so, even though he and I are no longer with the organization, we still meet up on a monthly basis. We try to commit to for a lunch where we riff together
Nice.
on life's happenings and we make each other better. He is an attorney, that's his day gig. And you know what I'm doing. And yet we just kind of sit back over a meal and just talk about the comings and goings of life, challenges, whatnot. And that friendship is super valuable to me. And because of one of our requests is directly related to what I learned from him, and what he learned from me, I thought nobody better than to dedicate this episode to him.
Wow.
So
That's
cheers to
so cool.
Harold.
Cheers to Harold. Wow. That's awesome. You know,
Take it away, buddy.
I will, friend. Man, how cool is that that you have that connection and I often sit here and going, man, I would have loved to have worked in your district. Just how just based upon the connections and relationships and humanity that you promote and the friendships that come from it. So, speaking of friendships, I want to dedicate this episode to someone who I do consider to be a friend and a thought partner and a confidant. And she is Dr. Andrea Trudeau. And she is just an amazing, innovative school librarian in Chicagoland. She is getting ready to go to Africa
Wow.
to hike up Kilimanjaro, but she also goes to do her nonprofit work there and does a whole lot to promote literacy and reading and books to communities that may struggle with that. But she is just somebody just within the last couple of years, as I've been going through liminal changes and trying to figure out my own place in the crossroads. Andrea has just been a very good source of encouragement and friendship and kinship. So in many ways, her wisdom echoes the second riff that we're going to be talking about, which is really has stopped me in my tracks on a lot of
Yeah.
different levels.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so cheers to Andrea, cheers to Harold. I love, love, love that we incorporate these dedications. These are the people, man, that are change makers, difference makers. So let's riff, buddy. Let brother, we are gonna dive in now. So I'm gonna
Let's do
kick
it,
things
sister.
off with our first riff. And by the way, I we usually will share who the request is coming from, but because this gal is still an acting vice principal,
Hmm.
and this request is has to do with governance, I feel like out of respect to her, I really want to make sure that we aren't necessarily throwing her under the bus with even voicing this request. You know, we got to think big picture when we do these things as well. And you all are going to get this because this is what she asks of us to really talk about.
Hmm.
What happens when governance, boards, executives, upper leadership unintentionally or intentionally interfere? That's the key word here. Interfere with the work of entry and mid level leaders. We selected this request because, FYI, she, as an entry level vice principal leader, is 100% not alone in being very curious about this question, about this topic of governance. Because the problem that I want to call out and just bring to the surface is that we have widespread cross industry, cross sectors, boards, governance who interfere all of the time.
Mm.
And when we say interfere, this is what interfere looks like. I, as an individual board member, am very passionate about X, Y, and Z. And instead of me taking my passion, my concerns, my complaints directly to the top chief,
Yeah, go there.
that could be the superintendent, that could be the executive director, that could be the CEO, that could be the president, okay, the top chief. I am going to climb down the ladder and I'm going to go down to where the entry and mid level leaders are, or even worse, where the customers are, where the clients are, where the frontline workers are. Okay. And I am going to go full steam ahead and start issuing directives.
Hmm.
I'm going to start going full steam ahead and sharing my concerns.
Yep.
That's the problem. What that does is create organizational chaos
Yep.
because the entry, mid level, managers and frontline workers have been trained to follow a system. And the system works like this: I am going to take directives from my supervisor. Their supervisors are not the board. However, they're caught in a pickle
Mm-hmm.
when you have individual board members who are running to them saying, using their power, their leverage to say, I don't like this, do this, do that. And that messaging may be significantly different than what the superintendent, their principal, their CEO, you
Yep.
name it, is giving them. So what do? Tell them to kick rocks? Eat, right? Now, I put this, Sean, on the responsibility of the superintendent to get their board in line.
Yep.
There's one person, or the CEO or the president, there's one person that's responsible for going up and down that ladder to communicate back to the board. And that is the top level chief needs to be getting that board together and saying, stay in your freaking lane. You have concerns, they come to me. You have directives, they come to me.
That's right.
You want to problem solve, come to me. And unfortunately, we have board members who are going rogue. And when they go rogue, guess what that does? It not only frustrates the entry and mid-level staff and frontline workers, so, teachers, nurses, whatever, but it contributes to more leadership turnover. Because do you know what the principals then say? Or the superintendents? Screw this. I'm not working for this board.
That's right.
They're crazy.
Yep.
They don't know how to get their act together. They're getting involved into things that they're not experts of. Like, for example, curriculum and instruction, discipline. What are some other things, right? That they have strong opinions about, but yet they're not hired to be experts of that.
No.
What they are hired to do is ultimately support the work, the strategic plan that's happening at the ground level. And when they have concerns and questions, ask those critical questions in a respectful way to problem solve.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my passion comes in. And by the way, before I turn it over to you, why I brought Harold into this at the very beginning was because he was a model of a board president that would take concerns on behalf of the board, because there was plenty of them, especially in the heat of COVID, FYI, there was plenty of concerns from the board, community, parents, staff, everything. And he would bring them to me. And my goodness gracious, we would riff, and we did not always agree, Harold and I.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, even if we didn't come to consensus or agreement, we were unified
Mm-hmm.
and we rolled. And we wanted to make sure ultimately that the staff and the principals and the parents were supported through the process. And we didn't get everything right. No one does. But we exercised healthy governance.
That's
And
it.
I feel like the reason this vice principal question is so critical in this day and age is we have districts, organizations, companies that are being governed by boards that can't get their freaking act together in this area, and they're losing people right and left. And I don't know, Sean, if you've experienced that, but buddy, I want to hear your thoughts on this juicy topic because you're in the thick of it. Whether
Yeah.
it's personal experience or what your thoughts are, roll with it.
So one of the things, Danya, that came to my mind is the probably the best supervisor I ever worked with. And she had this knack. She was assistant superintendent, and she had this knack and she was also a coach too. She coached basketball, so she had this way of saying to me, Sean, um, when I was in the principal chair, I would do this, this, and this, but it's your school, or if this were my school, I would think about it from this way. Now, at first, I didn't like when she would do that because I felt it was almost condescending, but it was kind of a Zen Jedi mind trick that she would do with me, because 2 or 3 days later, it would hit me that she was right, and I would go, oh, she got me again, but it was a good healthy way. I guess what it comes down to is what Stephen M.R. Covey talks about in his book, Trust and Inspire. Really, the title of the damn book, Trust and Inspire. And that's what I need. I think that's what we need folks to do if you're supervising. When you go into an airplane, I know you fly a lot, and I'm getting ready to fly in a couple of weeks. I
Yeah.
trust that the pilot is going to do their job.
Oh,
Period.
yeah. And you and I both have a fear of flying,
Yes, we do.
FYI.
Yes, we
And
do.
so that's a big deal for us.
Yes. And it's kind of the same thing. Like when we talk about governance and people getting in lanes and blurring lines, and I hate that crap. When same thing with the supervisor back in the day. If a parent were to call, or central office or what have you, she would actually, she wouldn't call me. The secretary would call me. Her secretary or her assistant would call me and say, "Hey, Sean, listen, this parent called with this issue, this question, this challenge. You probably want to call the parent back, see what you can figure out, and then let me know what the resolution is, and I will let our supervisor know. Or if you've done as much as you could with it, and you need her help, let me know that too." And God, I didn't know how great that I had it, because I've been in situations where supervisors have blurred lines and blurred the organization, the hierarchy, the lanes, and
Yeah.
and and it
Oh, totally.
messes with me. I mean, I can tell you that it ended me up in the hospital a couple of times. So
Totally.
I think what it comes down to is, if you have hired somebody or placed somebody in a specific role, then believe in that person, trust that person, support that person. If that person isn't living up to the expectation, living up to the fulfillment, or whatever it is, and if you have a relationship and you recognize the
Oh,
humanity
yeah.
in
Oh,
that
you're
person,
on.
yeah, then kind of like what my old boss used to do. And she knew it, and she treated all of us differently, and we all would kind of trade notes. And she would, in one case she would be direct with one person, in other cases she was indirect, in other cases she did the Zen thing, but she honored our humanity. Now, when it came time to, all right, get your crap together, and let's stop the BS. Yes, she would command, and sometimes you as the leader need to do that. But again, differentiate your approach,
I love
maintain the
what you're saying.
trust, and differentiate the support.
I love what you're saying. And the reason I love it so much is because you brought in the accountability piece. Nowhere in here are we saying that we need to be totally lax and say,
Right.
oh, anything goes in
No,
leadership. You do
not at
you.
all.
You do you,
Yeah.
right? Because I think from a board member perspective or a high level leadership supervisory, right? Like if we put ourselves in their shoes, it has to be kind of uncomfortable at times to release the reins,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Especially when we're like, well, crap, I could do this better, or I have a solution that's better. So there is a control thing too that we got to let go of, but still find the balance of having high accountability, but bing 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 going back to high level of trust. And
Yes.
that is what you have articulated so beautifully. I loved jamming on this one
Yeah.
with you. And I think that the listeners are going to get a lot out of this because it is relevant to every stinking position out there
Hmm.
in the hierarchy of the chain of command.
And you're losing good people. I mean, they're,
Oh, yeah.
and you're losing momentum and all of those things. So that's a good seg to this other riff,
Yep.
that was listener and viewer driven, and I'm happy, to mention her name
Go for
because
it.
I just I had her on my other podcast last week, and also this person, Danya, is also a huge Beatles fan.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. I love it.
yes, huge Beatles fan. So Julia Bialeski, she is the author of a wonderful book, Leading with Grace. She's based in Maryland, and she is speaking and she's doing great things for her district, in terms of leadership from the central office level, and yet still maintaining that balance like you used to do so artfully as superintendent, where you hey, I'm going into a school, I'm going in the cafeteria, I'm going into classrooms. So
Yeah.
Julia's cut from that same cloth, but here is her riff, and I am anxious to hear your thoughts on this, especially because we're at different points in our lives and in our careers and things. So this is a powerful one.
I love it.
If
I
you
love it.
if you could have one leadership do-over, what would it be? And I've thought about that on a whole lot of different levels. Just with my own health challenges and knowing that the gig and being a principal and being in school administration, there is no perfect way to do that path.
No.
There is no, and I think that's the first thing I think folks have to understand, for that it is not about perfection, and I know that is easier said than done when you are in the crosshairs of scrutiny and accountability, and a lot of your, in many cases you may be the face of the school, the face of the district, the face of the community, and you're kind of in this microscope, right?
Yeah. And
So
Sean, just
yeah,
real quick, I want to add to that.
go.
It's a problem if this question was asked and a leader said, I have no do overs.
Yes. Yes.
There's no do overs. This is going right back to what you said because there's no recipe. And we misstep, that's just what happens. And
Yes.
then we reflect. And I would question the leader that has zero do overs and say, are you kidding me? Or do you have a problem with actually reflecting in how you can become better? So
Yes. No,
keep
right.
going.
Right on, because reflection is that key. So my take on this riff is there are thousands of times that I have screwed up as a leader. There are things that I have done and said that are all wrong, and I would never do them again.
Mhm.
But if I were to think about a do-over in the sense to try to answer the question, and again, for those of you that are tuning in, I mean, there's always going to be BS. There's always going to be the to-do list. There's always
Mhm.
going to be that red freaking light that's blinking
Mhm.
on your on your phone. Whoops. It's
Beep, beep.
Hey, we're
Dude,
riffing in real time,
dude,
sister.
dude, I love it. Keep it going. Keep it. Throw a couple more of those in.
I will. So there's always going to be the calendar and the demands and those things. But, dear listener, dear viewer, those of you who are riffing with us in the band here, there's only one nervous system that you've got. And, there is either a family or loved ones who are blessed to have you in their lives. And if you're not careful, you're going to blink. And I know our kids are older, and the house is empty. It's that damn song by Harry Chapin, "Cats in the Cradle." And I can't listen to that song because time goes by so fast. So if I were to do anything over again, I would not put school and career and my ego, and it was ego, ahead of my Fab Four. And that was my
Mm,
wife
hmm.
and our three kids. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, I
often,
love that.
and even when I was at the swim meet, even when I was at the soccer game, I still had the freaking phone.
Dude,
You
I
know,
screwed up so many ways in that way.
and I'm still texting, and I got to get ahead. I got to get ahead. Oh my God, the superintendent. All those things, and I was not present as authentically present as I should have been as a father and as a husband. So,
Dude, I love that you brought that. I still struggle with
amen,
guilt
amen. Hey, same
with
here.
for when my kids were little, like I'm talking two to, ages 2 to 8 or whatever, like elementary school and middle school, and how much I was not present.
Yeah,
I have such a beautiful relationship with all four of my kids. However, I
same.
still carry a lot of that guilt because I know that I did not prioritize that present state of mind with them, especially early on in my leadership career when I was all about the hustle and the rat race.
Yep, same, same. It's hard.
Oh, dude, it is so hard. And what I will share with you as far as a do-over is, and I still think about this, especially now that I'm full-time speaking and authoring, and I, provide guidance or coaching to other leaders out there on in the field. And this is a big one. And it's happened to me a few times, but I will say keeping people in positions that shouldn't be in positions.
Ooh, mic drop. Yep, been
A
there.
few times I have done that over the course of my leadership career where I will put them, I'll issue like a letter of warning or a memorandum of understanding or put them on a formalized discipline plan as a way to like legally hold them accountable to a certain standard, and then yet still keep them in that position while they are doing damage to
Yeah,
the organization. And that's on me.
yeah.
That's on me. And I can't remember, there's like, sayings or quotes that I see on there. But basically, when we as leaders are allowing people to do damage or allowing bad people, whatever, they're not bad people. They're just not right for these positions. And so they're causing bad things to happen.
Hmm.
And the message you're sending to other people that are having to pick up their mess is that we, as the leaders, care more about saving the
Yes.
damage than about investing in the good, solid employees.
Mhm.
And that can be so disheartening to them and contribute to them saying, F this place, I'm done. And I am guilty. I have kept those people far too long to do far too much damage. And I have shared that on the road
Yeah.
as now I've also been in the seat of firing with dignity,
Hmm.
releasing them, right?
Hmm.
And I've gotten that right several times, but it took at me to get it wrong to
Yeah.
actually get it right,
Hmm.
which is what this question, this request is really getting at, right? We got do-overs because we get it wrong, and then that catapults us from that failing forward. John Maxwell,
Nice.
right? Failing forward. I screwed up on this far too many times to then be able to be like, Donya, when are you going to actually figure this out and release
Hmm.
the person or move them into a position that is going to be a better match, right? It's a hard one, dude.
It is because uh, man, you're thinking about the lives that are impacted on all
Yes.
fronts. So you're thinking about the lives that are in front of this person in whatever role that they have in the organization, or how they're impacting other people's lives negatively and positively. Then you're thinking about, my God, this person's got a family, or this person, has got college tuition, and
That's it.
you are trying to you are wrestling with all kinds of stuff,
Yes.
in the blood and the guts of
Or
it.
even worse, this person has been in the organization forever
And
or
they are
in
the
this
sacred
position
cow. Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're iconic. You can't, so and so has always done this, and you don't understand. Their great great grandmother's former roommate's cousin is the statue in the town square is built to them, and you can't say no to them. I mean, it's heavy.
We can't imagine this place without them.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. It's one of those things,
It's hard
right?
as hell.
That it is absolutely hard as hell. But you know what? We roll and we learn and we figure it out and then we do better.
Yes. Well, Julia left us with a heavy question, and speaking of Julia, I'm looking forward to. She's also speaking at ISTE ASCD in Orlando, so I finally get to
Nice.
meet her in person after networking and connecting and zooming with her for the last few years. So really excited, and
Love it.
I'll have to connect you two, because both of you have very unique stories, and parents who love the Beatles, and you have brought they have brought that love to you in their own unique
I
way and
love that.
impacted your life. So yeah, you guys got to connect.
I love that. Well, brother, final reflection, final thoughts as we wrap up.
Well, there are so many, but I would say, just as a final reflection, for those leaders out there who are listening and taking this in, two things. I would say, take the time and take the space to reflect, and then find your Danya, find your Sean, find that person that you can text or call anytime and go, man, I'm feeling this, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking of you. You're not in this alone, and if you don't have that person nearby, then at least you've got Sister Danya and Brother Sean here in your corner.
I love that. Summer, right? We are now immersed in summer.
Yes.
Summer is the time, and this is in every industry, right? That summer is a time for vacations, for some time off, for some decompression.
Yeah.
And so
Amen,
what I
sister.
want to sign us off with is to be super intentional
Mm.
with that because we can easily fill our time off with work stuff,
Yes.
right? With
Yes.
the BS. And we
Yes.
need to be filling it with the time, with the Sean called the Fab Four. right? Mine's
That's
the
right.
Fab Five, whatever,
That's
whatever
right.
that is to you.
That's right.
Fill it with that and
Yes.
truly get the time to unplug and rest and rejuvenate,
Mm.
reactivate. And that way you are excited and ready to roll, whether this is a 2 day, time off, 2 week time off, 2 month time off. Be intentional about the time. And if anything comes to your mind as far as future requests or riffs that you want Sean and I to dive into, we absolutely want to hear from you because we are going to continue to honor our commitment that this show is designed for you, from you.
That's right. That's right. Donnie, you said that so beautifully, and as you were saying that, friends, it's okay to have dessert for dinner.
Yeah.
Watch the rom com, watch the shoot 'em up flick.
Go
Uh,
to the Pitbull concert,
Go to the
which is what
Pitbull
I'm about
concert,
ready to
which you're getting
do.
ready to do. Have treat yourselves and take care of your nervous system, and whether it's the Fab Three, the Fab Five, the Fab Two, whoever it is, spend that time and be present and put the phone away and just know that the world is a better place with you in it, and that there are people that are leaning and loving on you and are there for you. So, God, I just enjoy our conversations.
I love you, Brother Sean. Thank you for the jam session as always. And we are going to be signing off until next time. Cheers, everyone.
You got it. I love you, Sister Danya. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, keep grooving, and keep finding your real riffs.